get the elephant out of the room here. First time I've ever made a video of just talking to the camera. But anyways, we're going to talk about how to get an apprenticeship in trades. How I did it, a couple different ways you can do it. In my opinion, there's three main ways. There are others, but the main ways are like you're in a union and you internally you get it and the union puts you through it and you have a job. Second is it's an industry of not what you know, it's who you know. So major in, say they just put you to work and then you'll go to school later after you have some hours. That's like prime time. If you can get that, that's beautiful. Or there's the third way, which is how I did it, which is go to pre-app or pre-apprenticeship course first, or go to school first and then look for a job with that basic training, very basic training in most cases, minimal hands-on. Look for a job that way, which is slightly more enticing to employers than hiring right off the street. So that's how I did it. But anyways, I'm going to jump into my story here, which is more or less what this video is going to be composed of. So after high school, I decided I wanted to enter the electrical field. So I went to pre-app in Kamloops, British Columbia at TRU in their trades section of the university. So I did my first year pre-app. That's 350 hours, blah, 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 first year school. After that was done, went back to my hometown and started looking for a job that Monday. Had a proper resume, did all that jazz. Dressed like I was ready to work, steel toes always, Carhartts, tools in the car, even though that wasn't relevant for the longest time. So I talked to him, like, okay, nothing happened at the 3-4 guys I talked to, different electrical contractors and outfitters. And then I went back the next week, and the next week, and the next week. So it was kind of getting a little old. So I went to the next town over that I could be like, I could work here. Maybe they have some opportunities. Who knows what could happen. Went there, did that thing. Same thing, never happened. But finally, I got my first job, and it was with a Albertan company. By the way, I'm on the west coast of Canada, in British Columbia more specifically, obviously. And we went up north of Fort St. John in Wanawon in a project. And I was there for 2 weeks. Got laid off after. Last on, first off project. Huge, man, project. There's like 150 guys to 300 guys, depending on what shift and what swing you had. And it was really quite large. Got laid off. Never actually got the hours from that. But anyways, a couple weeks later, trying. Got a little money in my pocket now. So then I had an in with a contracting company that did a little work right outside my town. So I drove there every day. But between that, I went back to the original 3, which then got narrowed down to 2 employers that I would go back to every morning, every Monday morning at like the crack of dawn. So this is like 6:45 when the usual workday starts at 8, and see the boss and ask if there's any employment. And so went back, some getting better responses, kept going to the ones that were better responses and buying in and not just trying to shoo me out the door right away and say goodbye, we don't need you. The ones that would have a conversation with me, and I'd ask, how are your projects going? What are you guys involved with? That type of thing for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes every Monday morning. Run into some of the owners who I happen to know by name. I'm like, blah, 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 blah. Hi, I'm this person. Whenever they happened to be there, or that Monday, it was great. But then, still nothing. They had no real work. Couldn't take on a green hand, pretty much. So, as time went on, went to this other job I was talking about, just outside of my town, that I had to drive to every day. It lasted about 19 days of straight 10s, which was good. They were kind of not my favorite company, but work was work at this point in time. But no real complaints with that. Eventually got my hours out of them. But after that was over, a couple more weeks and went by, and eventually my current boss now, instead of him saying, yeah, come back next week, it turned to, come back 2 weeks from now, we don't have work. But then after a month of that, of doing the whole summer thing, I had a little bit of change in my pocket still. Excuse me for saying so much, but anyways, he said, come back next week. So there we are, 5 months into this, going every Monday that he told me to, which was there's only a couple 2-week parts he asked for separation where he's like, you really don't, but we're interested type thing. 5 months of doing this goes by, and he's now my third electrical employer. 2 employers passed by during this 5 months of every Monday morning. I missed, I think, 3 of them overall of going to go see him, not including the 2 that he told me just to skip. And then he's like, okay, yep, come in next week. You start now. Works a little bit part-time at first, but then all of a sudden, bing, bada, boom, you're on this project. And I've been on that project now for 10 months, and it's been pretty good. Looking like it's going to be a 1-year project for me, and then I'll move on to something else, hopefully within the company. Actually, I know I won't be kicked out of the company or anything like that, but going back to school in 3 months, 4 months from now, 3 months from now, and going for second, third year back to back. And that's basically how I got my apprenticeship. And this method works. I've seen it work many times. A couple of my coworkers who are also second year electrical apprentices, they did almost the exact same thing with the exact same employer. It's just basically it's persistence but not annoyance, and it's conversation. It's just time. They get to know you a little bit over that time if you ever see them every Monday morning. I wouldn't go as far as becoming a brown nosy type thing, like don't bring them coffee, and also don't walk in with your own coffee, leave it in your car type thing. I wouldn't go that way. And just talk to people, talk to the front desk guy, get to know his name, shake hands whenever it's suitable. A couple other things I have in my notes here. I thought about this for a while. And hopefully it's really nice, and if they give you any positive feedback, go back again. If they give you some negative ones at first, go back again and really feel out the waters. If you have a job in the meantime when you're doing something like this, a respectable employer would respect 2 weeks notice in most cases. Some cases they're like, hey, can you work now? And you could be like, ooh, this is a really good opportunity, and you have to sacrifice or piss off your previous employer to get it. Sometimes that type of sacrifice is worth it, but you got to make sure it's the right opportunity for you if you're going to burn any bridges. Not necessarily recommended, especially in a smaller town where I'm from. So, but be ready, as at the same time, if you don't have a job, have your tools, wear your steel toes, wear your Carhartts, wear what you need, have what you're expected to have there, and be like, he's like, when are you ready? I'm like, right now. And he's like, oh, I meant like generally. I'm like, anytime. That's what they want to hear, pretty much. And that's how I got what I would call my apprenticeship, which is what I mean my current sponsor for my hours, the one who records my hours, to the ITA, the Industry Training Authority. That's what the government program that handles apprenticeships and certifications of trades in British Columbia, and I'm pretty sure in some other provinces in Canada, if not the whole thing. Not sure. But that's how you get a red seal in Canada. But if you have any questions or questions about getting an apprenticeship or how you should go about it in more detail, etc., ask. I might be able to help. Ask in the comments. Other people in the community who are in a similar situation may be able to help, because most people, I assume, watching this video, or at least getting this far, are actually genuinely interested in trades as a career, and who are in pretty much the same spot I was a year and a half ago, which is have a little bit of school or interested in getting an apprenticeship. And then I'm electrical, so but you could basically apply this to any of the contractor trades out there: plumbing, pipe fitting, welding, carpentry, etc. Especially, it's nice if they have a store where you will always find that boss in the morning. That's easy. If you don't, sometimes if you can't make a Monday morning, you could call them and just be like, hi, or if they're not there, you could call them and be like, hi, you're not at the office. Leave them a kind voicemail the first couple times. Once again, don't be annoying. That's how it goes. But other than that, if you have any questions, you know how to ask. And good luck to you.